Well, David Goldstone here on behalf of World Cinema with Ravi, from the CEO and founder of SINA Hospitality. I am very honored and deeply appreciative of Ravi taking time out of his busy schedule to provide us with some thoughts and input on really where the industry is today, where Cena is today, and thoughts for the industry. So Ravi, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Ravi, could you start by telling us really a little bit about Cena Hospitality? It's an exciting company. Your growth has been, to put it mildly, phenomenal. And just give us some background.
Sure. Yeah. So Cena Hospitality is a private family-owned company that we started in 1997. So we have 25 hotels, and they're between Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Missouri. Majority of who we work with are Marriott, Hilton, and IHG, and most of our hotels are new construction. And in being new construction hotels, it really allows us to customize the public space. Because, like when you're in a hotel, most people spend more time in the public space than in their room. So our hotels tend to have some of the largest public spaces within their respective brands.
Interesting. Well, thank you. And family company definitely has its advantages. No question about it. What are some of the technology trends that you are looking at, have looked at, and how has what's happened over the last year with COVID played a part in what you've done from a technology point of view?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenging time, right? So in our industry, technology is probably the forefront of everything that we do, just because it's constantly evolving and changing, and people want the latest technology. And so the brands are picking up on that too. So I think the most critical thing that we've really had to look at is the speed of internet and how that's delivered to the customer. And then right behind that is what World Cinema does, right? So the streaming of the apps on the television, how that is delivered to the consumer, how channels are delivered to the consumer. So all those things are really important. And I think that as we continue to move further, you're going to start to see like the Amazon Alexa or the Google Assistant in the rooms, just because people have it in their homes and naturally they're like, hey, it should be in a hotel too. And so you're starting to see franchises take a step towards that. I think that it'll have a lasting impact for sure, just because the customer needs to experience somewhat of what they experience at home at the hotel. And at least that's the mindset of a lot of the franchises that I work with. So I'm excited to see how that goes, and maybe they'll invent something else next year and we'll have to put that in the room too.
Well, it's exciting that you are so open-minded about it, because I think the smart guest and the younger guest today is certainly looking for that home experience on the road, no question. And that's a great segue into my next question. I'm going to ask you to look in your crystal ball here, but where do you see the industry looking in the next 3 to 5 years? And, not necessarily just from a technology point of view, but just overall. And obviously, again, COVID has had an impact and will have an impact. But as a hotelier and a successful hotelier, where you obviously are having discussions around your boardroom table as to where the industry is going, and what are your thoughts, if you don't mind sharing some of those?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, COVID definitely has presented a disruption in our industry. A lot of people want to point it to something like a 9/11 or a 2008 financial crisis, but it's not the same, right? Because people still wanted to travel to some extent. I think with COVID, what you're seeing is until people are vaccinated, they don't want to travel, and rightfully so. I can understand that. In 3 to 5 years, I really feel like the markets will begin to stabilize, but it's going to be the hotel owners that have hotels in the suburbs or drive to destinations. I think they're going to see their numbers stabilize sooner, just because people don't want to be in crowded areas, right? So like you look at New York City, honestly, would I go there? Probably not, and I think a lot of people would agree.
Right.
So if you're in a rural destination or if you're like, hey, I want to go to the mountains or something, I think that's the easier sell for a lot of people. And I think the franchises are starting to think that way as well because we're constantly having discussions about what kind of new concepts should we introduce, right, at a hotel level. So whether that's around, cleaning and how the cleaning protocol is going to be, I think what you're seeing right now is going to be even more enhanced in the future, just so people are comfortable. And I think the food and beverage offering is going to be different. So, for a limited service hotel, I think our breakfast is going to change pretty dramatically. I think you're going to see more of like prepackaged stuff, just things that people don't have to touch. And then at the full service hotels, I think the menus are going to change to kind of reflect that too. So it just from the limited lens that I see, that's kind of what I've been seeing out there. So
Well, thank you. And I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, even traveling today, I was on United last week, and it's prepackaged. The club is prepackaged food. It's definitely changed completely. And I think to your point, the same is going to happen from a food and beverage point of view. From a technology point of view, definitely more contactless, and obviously something that we at World Cinema are very involved in. Our contactless remote has been an overwhelming success. We're in over 350,000 rooms with it now and is being widely used. So that is definitely something that's going to continue to be looked at. Ravi, any exciting plans for SINA over the next 2 to 4 years? And if so, would you like to divulge? Because I know from a World Cinema point of view, we are excited by your growth and look forward to growing with you.
yeah, so we've been fortunate to be able to grow even during COVID, right? We haven't laid anybody off. We've actually hired more people. So currently we've got 6 hotels in development. 3 are under construction. So the Fairfield Inn at the Louisville Airport will actually open this April. So that's exciting. The Fairfield Inn Louisville South will probably open in June. So we're excited about that too. And then the Spring Hill Suites in Chester, Virginia will open in Q1 of next year. And really excited about that. It's going to be a tremendous hotel. It's got a big banquet space and really excited about that. Um, in terms of future growth, we do have some deals that we're working with Marriott International right now. They've been really good about helping us grow and identifying markets. So we'll be announcing the first of 3 deals this year in April, right around the middle of April. And the first one will be our first Residence Inn.
Oh,
So very exciting.
that's terrific. Well, you know that we'll be there to partner with you. It's interesting that so many similarities between Cena and World Cinema. We're a family company. We're in our 46th year under the same ownership, and one of the few companies that has grown through COVID, working closely with our hotel partners, and have also not laid off anyone. As a matter of fact, since July of last year, we've hired 16 new people,
That's
really preparing ourselves for the SINA Hospitalities of the world. So we will be there and make sure that we're there with what is required.
Yeah, and we look forward to it. Our relationship has been great with World Cinema, and I don't expect it to be any different in the future. So I'm very excited for the growth.
Thank you. Well, Ravi, we really appreciate you. We appreciate your company. And thank you so much for talking to me this morning. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.